Ay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Nico. First of all, Happy New Year to all the uncommon folk. Um, right now, I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope on Twitter. Now, tonight, our topic is going to be how to combat white supremacy. And for this occasion, we have a special guest. Now, before I let my special guest in, let me just read the disclaimer. The views of the guests who appear on the channel are not necessarily the views of the host nor this channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host, Jose Negron, or the channel Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to your image on this channel. Some of the views which guests may hold may be offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now we're going to bring in our special guest.
Good. Yo, what's up? What's going on, bro?
Well, first of all, thank you for, coming into my cyber home, so to speak.
Yes. Thank you for having me in your cyber home. It's a pleasure.
Now, I'm sure there might be some people asking me, why am I approaching this topic? First of all, because the problem exists. Okay? As much as we want to
deny
it, it's there. It is like the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, this has been going on for centuries.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Now, what I did do, let's see, a little preparation in regards to the topic. Because what I like to do is I like to give definitions.
Of course.
Because unfortunately, what happens is you have people who love to take words out of context. That's why I don't play that here.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Now this is the definition based on the dictionary
of white supremacy, right?
Yes. The belief that white people constitute a superior race and should be therefore dominant society, typically to the exclusion or detriment of other race or ethnic groups, in particular Black or Jewish people. And I can add as far as brown people as well.
Yeah.
Good evening, Denise. Good evening, true teacher. Nah, I'm sorry. I mean, my channel is not exactly that big yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link.
So do you want me to give my definition of what white supremacy is?
Yes, by all means.
Okay. So let me just, before I even give you the definition of what white supremacy is, I'm just going to preface it that white supremacy does not mean all white people. I want to make that very clear. Usually the slow and intellectually challenged likes to use that as a way to discredit you by saying, oh, you hate all white people, when that's not the case. We're talking about white supremacists who choose to practice white supremacy. And the word white supremacist is not something that I came up with. It's not something that black people came up with. That's a word that white supremacists themselves came up with. You know, the way I see white supremacy is broken down into 9 areas of activity between people. Those areas are economic, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. These are 9 areas between people in our daily lives, and that's what white supremacy controls on a daily basis. Now, like I said before, white supremacy doesn't mean all white people, and it does the some of the definitions and examples could get confusing outside of America, right? But what white supremacy basically is a person who classifies or is classified as white by speech, thought, or action that mistreats, abuse, and control people who are classified as non-white. And again, these are the terms that white supremacists themselves came up with, and that's my definition of it.
Hmm. Okay. First of all, I just want to make it very clear. We're not saying that all white people are racist. Unfortunately, some are. And also, they have certain individuals from other backgrounds who are their accomplices, so to speak.
Yeah, I call them puppets. A lot of times, these people want to claim and say white supremacy doesn't exist. There's a black person right there. There was been a black person in office, or we had a black president, which is very disingenuous. A lot of times in the system of white supremacy, you're going to have qualified people in tokenized positions and very powerful positions. The name of the game is to never, ever, ever help out your community, and is always of the interest of the system, which is white supremacy. For example, Obama is mixed, but he was called the N-word president, right? All throughout his term. And black folks were literally dying at the hands, unarmed, and unjustly at the hands of white officers, and nothing happened. So these are the type of things that we really got to look out for.
Hmm. Now, what I would like to ask, how does a person becomes a white supremacist and embraces this philosophy?
Well, there's a lot of things that occur into history, into an individual. I interviewed a former white supremacist. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I interviewed one, and this person said that he was in a very dark place in his life. He was in a place where he all he saw was negativity, and he couldn't get out of it. And certain people around him gave him the boogeyman, and the boogeyman was black and brown people. So
Hmm.
those are the reason that those are the people, the reason why my life is all messed up and stuff like that. Nowadays white supremacists are basically self-indoctrinated by small little jokes, the internet, 4chan and stuff like that. There's a lot of self-indoctrination that a lot of white supremacists are becoming more racially conscious and aware, and they're self-indoctrinating themselves by joining these little groups, and they learn this action through osmosis. And because they learned that through osmosis, they continue the pattern. Mind you, the sad part about it is the majority of these people are brown people who are going into these little chat rooms or whatever the case is, and those are the ones who become the puppet leaders and the puppets for white supremacists who are really pulling the strings. At the end of the day, those brown people are not going to be in any facet of power within the group of white supremacy. They're just being used as lapdogs, you know. But overall, the way people become white supremacists is by believing some of the buffoonery and foolishness that is basically could be unproven, but these people believe it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Uh, could it be possible that some of these people have issues of low self-esteem, making them easy targets to join these groups?
Of course. Wait, hold on. If you, what was that? Yeah, of course. There's a lot of things that occur at the core part of an individual. Again, low self-esteem, abuse in the household, depression is a big one. A lot of things occur in an individual that they choose to go down that path. Again, we have to remember that these individuals are in a sad state of affair within their life, and that's the reason why they're choosing to go down this path.
Interesting. Now, one thing I notice in our community that you have certain individuals that look down on our melanated brothers and sisters, trying to think of themselves as superior, uh, not knowing what they're doing is that they're basically attacking their own family, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, and one thing I didn't realize before I became active in YouTube was the fact that you do see a wide assortment of individuals who have this deep, deep obsession with being white.
yeah. We so this is the thing that we have to understand. In society, we got to understand that whiteness pretty much drives everything. And when you're growing up, as you probably know, we're bombarded by advertising, when bombarded with the news, when bombarded with everything. And what are we taught in society? We're taught that black is bad and white is good. So when you're someone that is brown or light skin or whatever, and you kind of skirt the line, that gray thin little line in between bad and good, what you think you're going to be choosing? You don't want to go with the losing team. You want
Hmm.
to choose to go with whiteness, even though going with whiteness, you're not going to get no white benefits. But the more you self think and self reflect, saying, "Oh, I am white," and not only are you trying to convince everybody else, but you're convincing yourself. Just listen to some of these words that some of these people say. I am white. I am white. I am. They're not convincing us. They're trying to convince themselves, and they do so in order to basically protect themselves because they know what it means. They know what it means.
Yeah, and I noticed that this certain characters in YouTube, they will swear up and down that they're white, but anyone who's not visually impaired can tell you that they're not. Unfortunately, they have their own sense of reality.
Of course.
So now, first of all, I think what people need to understand, there's been racist roots in this country going back from the beginning. I mean, slavery entered into what became part of the United States, some parts of the United States as early as 1619. Slavery entered into Central and South America in the 16th century. And the fact of the matter is, if you take a look at our Constitution, a melanated person was considered three-fifths of a human being.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, um, I had a different view of the United States. Of course, you always think of the United States as the great good power, but I have to open my eyes and realize, there's good, but there's also evil that this country has performed.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. No country has its innocence. Canada performed atrocities in the world also. So of course.
Mhm. Yeah. And but what one of the biggest, or if you'll forgive me if I use the word sin, because I am a Christian,
Go
but
ahead. Yeah.
one of the biggest sins of this country is its inability to deal with people who are different. I mean, first of all, you have the Africans that brought in as slaves. You have the indigenous people that were robbed of their lands, and also we have we have created treaties which we violated, and look how we treated the Japanese in World War II. Now I'm going to invite someone else, which is dear to me, which is my cyber daughter. Good evening, Denise.
Good evening.
How you doing today?
I am good. How about you?
Oh, I am, if you excuse the pun, blessed and highly favored.
Mm. What's up, Radical?
Hey, what's going on? Why you here? Why you stealing my shine? Leave.
Ah.
Nah, nah, nah. That's no way to treat my cyber daughter.
Jose is gonna hit you with the chancla for saying that to me.
No,
Well, you know what?
no. Am I going to my room?
While we gonna,
Jose, am I going to
while
my
we gonna,
room? Am I going
while
to
Yeah,
we
my
you're
gonna
room?
going to
have,
your room.
while we have another stream on Thursday, and I'm sure she's gonna hit me with the changwa.
Oh my God, no.
Okay.
But continue. I mean, I don't know. I think this topic easily gets misconstrued by a lot of the taps
Yes.
that we have out there.
Mhm.
They just take one piece of whatever radical says, and anybody that speaks about white supremacy and just take it out of context and then runs with it.
But you know something, Denise? That's nothing new. Remember, you did a short stream yesterday where a certain individual, which I'm not gonna name, uh, got triggered with the belief there's a difference between Puerto Ricans that were born on the mainland and Puerto Ricans who were born and raised in the island. Now, I am a mainland Puerto Rican, and I got your message, and I wasn't insulted.
Yeah, yeah, it happens very often, and especially with topics like white supremacy. Like immediately people think you're like a white people hater
Yeah.
for calling out, stating the obvious. And the fact that we have to do, like I've said it many times with many topics, the fact that we have to do so many disclaimers just so the changuitos don't get butthurt, it's
Um,
crazy.
you mean the mixed daughter?
Yeah, the mix. But
No.
continue, you guys continue with the discussion. I'll add on, because radical is, I'm not trying to steal his shine.
That's
It's
right.
radical
That's right.
time.
Get out of here. That's why I was quiet. No, let me
Oh
But
stop.
you know,
my god.
Let me stop. Let me stop.
but you know something. When I thought about the topic of white supremacy, I have to confess, Radical, you were the first person I thought of.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you. I guess.
No, because you know why? Because you have been such an active voice on this topic and an active voice regarding Black and brown unity. It's just that unfortunately, people don't get it.
Yeah. Um. The thing is that what I've learned very early on I learned this when I had my opened my gym. I try to help everybody, and I didn't go around my hood giving money out. I went around my hood giving jobs out.
Hmm.
And I employed like 25, 26 people. And out of those 25, 26 people, only 4 or 3 stayed. literally. So it went to show that you can't save everybody. It's impossible. A lot of people are going to be comfortable with the position that they're in, and that's fine. But when we're talking about injustices and white supremacy and stuff, it's not that I'm trying to find excuses for some of those people who are comfortable in that position who don't want to thrive. Those are not the ones who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What we're talking about is a bigger picture and the bigger thing that's happening. And a lot of times people like just to point out to the negativity of a group and the negativity of a certain group of people, and they become the representative of that whole group, which isn't fair whatsoever. And that's the reason why you get this whole black and black crime talking point, which is complete BS because black and black crime doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Crime exists, you know. And when we talk about black on black crime, what's so different between black and black crime that regular crime isn't? You
Mm-hmm.
know, these are the type of things that we really have to talk about. These are the type of things that we really have to see, because if we really peel back the layers, it all goes back to the system of white supremacy.
Yeah. One of the things that people love to talk about, how there's so many black and brown people on welfare. I got news for you. I have been working for the Department of Social Services for over 22 years. And I can testify the fact a lot of those people who are getting public assistance are white.
Yeah, I think there's a place called Wilmington, Kentucky, and it's the welfare capital of the world. Wait, let me see if I could try to pull it up. It's a welfare capital of the world, and their residence is between 93 to 96% white.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you that some of these things again, um it's it's a when people talk about black and Latin folks mostly being on welfare, um they mostly want handouts and all this other stuff. It's just another way to redefine ourselves in order to justify our abuse. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
When you redefine a group of people to justify their abuse, you're giving it credence. And that's the reason why they should be abused, is because of they got low IQ. That's the reason why they should be abused, is because they're mostly on welfare. Is because of this and this and this, all this other nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just all those other negative stereotypes that we hear, all these other negative stereotypes that we see. It's another way to relabel a group of people to justify their abuse. For example, when Latin folks were getting deported and caught in the border and put in cages, you heard Fox News, Tommy Lauren, and all these other people, right wingers, say the reason why they're no, not the reason why they're there. What you heard was they bring disease into this country. They got AIDS, they got lice, and all this other stuff. They were repeating the same stereotypes that Mexicans were facing back in the 30s, back in the 40s, back in the 50s. You know, they were calling them greasers and stuff. You know, there were propaganda posters all over. They were repeating the same white supremacist stereotypes. Why? Is to justify the abuse. So, one, bringing disease into this country has nothing to do with being in a cage. Those two things do not connect.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things don't there's no correlation. So, when you want to justify why they're in the cage, you give a little BS answer like they bring in disease. You give a BS answer like, oh, they're just criminals. You give a BS answer like they're part of MS-13. You know, that's the reason why.
Yeah. And I recalled our former um, president, and I say it loosely, um, was complaining about a judge who was Mexican, saying all sorts of nasty things, talking about how Mexicans are rapists. This person was born in Indiana, so that kind of gives you an idea what's what's the thought process of some of these individuals.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, but let's see. But let's bring Denise into the discussion. I'm
No,
sure.
no, no. She can stay over there. She can stay
No,
over there. She good.
look, on my channel, we have mature conversations. We not may not always agree, but you might have some truth. I might have some truth, and then the actual truth is in the middle somewhere.
Rad is a rat supremacist. I'm with Angel on
Ah!
that. Rad is being a radical Latino supremacist, and he's trying to, exclude me from the privileges of YouTube. That's what's happening right now. You guys are seeing it.
That's right.
You
That's
saw it
right.
first on Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. You saw
Make
it first
YouTube great
here.
again.
Yes, but there's one little problem. I'm the host. So
Of course.
Denise,
No, go ahead, Denise. Go ahead.
No, I mean, look, I don't know what else um, can we do to combat white supremacy. I think it's something that it's not going to go anywhere. It's just not going to go anywhere whatsoever. And at some point, to what degree do we, and I know a lot of people might disagree with what I say, but like, to what degree are we going to continue down this path of, first, not acknowledging that it exists, and second, to what degree are we going to continue to segregate from the rest of the country in order for us to not have to deal with this? Because a lot of people live in paranoia. Like, for example, I take my example and a lot of Puerto Ricans example. Every time we see a white person coming to Puerto Rico, we know already what they're there. So, there's a lot of us that grow up with that disdain for people that have that specific complexion. But to what degree do we, because this is my thing. Every time this country has moved into a big change, it has required a union from all factions of this nation. This is one of the most heterogeneous, or, you know, let's say, um, how can I phrase it so it can be understood? This is one of the countries that, it's so varied. There's such a high variety of different people from all around the world. And it's not something as homogeneous as Canada, for example, where even socialism can exist, in my opinion, simply because people, for the most part, look and act the same way. Here in America, we have a tug of war that is intertwined with race, because race is also a currency in this country. So, with that being said, if we are to move any part of our different agendas forward to benefit the overall majority of the country, when do we start building bridges with people that we tend to not necessarily embrace into our spaces? That is a question for you guys. Like, what do you think about that? Because nothing in this country has ever been done by segregating the white sector or the black sector or the brown sector. It usually involves everybody coming together.
Well, yeah, that's what I always talk about, having allies. We need allies. As much as other people might not think that we do, but we actually do. We do need allies. The biggest problem in our community, in the Latin community, we have never organized politically. For some reason, it's like we're scared to do so. We used to do that back in the 60s, back in the 50s, but for some reason, we don't do it now. We can organize for some ignorant things. Definitely organize if we're gonna come together and rap. We could organize when we come together to shoot a place up. But when it comes to something positive, we don't organize. And that's something that's lacking with the Latin community. The Black community, regardless of what it is, being ADOS or being non ADOS, they still come together when it comes to something political. And they rally around one thing, being Black. That's something we don't do. There's a lot of tribalism when it comes to Latin people that I wish really doesn't exist.
Well, I okay. What I think what's part of the problem is as far as the Puerto Rican community in the United States. I mean, you have first generation Puerto Ricans who live in New York who think one way, and then you have people, you have Puerto Ricans who live in Florida that live another that they think another way. And then you have some that live in some of the other states. They all think different ways. Ethically, we're all part of the same community. The problem is our experiences has been different, and that's one of the points that Denise tried to illustrate in her video yesterday.
Yeah, because I know nationality wise, uh, we go based on this whole tribalism thing where Mexicans are beefing with Hondurans and all this other stuff, which is nonsense. Which is at the end of the day nonsense. Because once we come into America, we're all Mexicans.
Yeah. Or we're all illegal,
Yeah, exactly.
even though we were born here.
Exactly. And there's been plenty of instances of Mexicans who were born here being deported, Puerto Ricans who want to get their ID changed, being deported. So these are the things that we have to definitely see, that they see us all the same, and a lot of people hate to say that, hate to think about that, hate to talk about that. But this is something that we definitely need to talk about.
But look, one of the reasons why I have watched for in the spaces that I have learned is that a lot of Latinos associate um, calling out white supremacy as being weak or crying or complaining or whatnot, when in reality it's so I don't know how to even start to. There's so many things to explain that I don't understand sometimes how our people get to this point. I think to a degree they have us divided just enough to have us question the stupidest things instead of us focusing on what's important.
Yeah, that's all distractions, and we
Yeah,
got to get away from that. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, all distractions. When it comes to talking about white supremacy, the first thing that they're going to talk about, well, you're married to somebody Black. What does that have to do with what we're
Not only
talking about?
that, they go typically to this. Your phenotype. Are you an Afro this? Are you a white Latino? Are you an indigenous Latino? Look, either white, Black, or indigenous Latino. You have to understand at the end of the day, it does not matter. There is enough evidence that proves that no matter how you look, no matter how what you try to act, you're still Latino and people see you as Latino. It's very rare in Latin America, very
Facts.
rare to have a white passing Latino. I don't care how light your skin is, if you still look like an Indio, you're not a white passing Latino.
Facts.
uh, guys, you know what's the problem with that? Do I
Yeah.
need to repeat it, or you want to say it, Denise?
No,
What, the
no,
mentally challenged and all that?
no,
No,
it makes too much sense.
yes. And I got a new catchphrase. Don't ask me to explain the crazy.
Yeah.
So it's something that, like I said, it's I think this is something that, and I hate, because this is the thing, when we say these things about our Latin sector, we often get called anti-Latino. But look, history has taught us, and I've mentioned this a couple of times. Look at the case Paris versus Chart. While you had the bath, the gasoline baths and the
Jose, give
kerosene
me like
baths
10,
happening,
10 minutes, Jose. I'll be right back. Give me 10 minutes,
Okay,
guys.
while
no
you had
problem.
the kerosene baths happening at the border, so the Mexicans had to bathe with gasoline, basically. You have here in the States Mexicans being given white credit points, but just to be segregated from black folks. So you still get the black treatment. But when you're here and you're trying to unite with a black person in any way, we have been instructed to self-segregate from them. Now, it's something that's a question that a lot of this moronic Latinos that think that we should start self-segregating for some reason, it's a question for them. Why do you think the system that bathe you in gasoline, because we are considered that dirty, for over 40 years you were bathed with gasoline to enter this country, among taking a lot of tests in order for you to enter the country? We're still in concentration camps in the ICE detention center. uh, while the country is doing this, somewhere, somehow, in 1947, and there's many other instances when we have had this proof, somewhere, somehow, a Latino is being given a little bit of credit, just enough to think that you should segregate from black folks. However, let's just think for a second. Okay, segregate from black folks, but then where is the white and brown unity? Where is this movement being pushed around? Where is this narrative being pushed around in any way? And you have to ask yourself, if that does not exist, the white and brown unity or the white and brown coalition or whatever you want to call it, if it does not exist, then why America instructed Latinos to self-segregate into social political limbo to the point that you're not supposed to unite with any American, neither black or white, and you should remain floating around forever? Why America has done that to our people?
Could it be to divide and conquer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Through union is the only way things are done in this nation.
I mean, if you take a look at the British, there was a saying, the sun did never set in the British Empire. I mean, at one point they controlled 1/4 of the world's territory. What they were able to do, they were able to pit one group against another group.
Absolutely. Like,
I,
if
it's, I,
you look, even if you look at the Roman Empire,
Mhm.
one of the strongest, most profitable empires in history. And for the Spanish lovers, Latinos that we have out there, if you look at the history of Spain, Spain was established specifically by the Roman Empire. And the way the Romans maintained, there's nobody in history that has been enslaved for the longest than Spaniards. They were enslaved for 700 years. They were under Roman law, under their boot. They were there for 700 years. How they managed to do this to such a large amount of people in Spain? Well, easy. You cut Spain in half and you have Española Norte and Española Sur. You have the North and the South fighting each other for who's better, and you keep them there, and you keep spreading this misinformation, and you keep doing all these things, and you keep sweeping under the rug a lot of this victimhood so that they can stay separated and never unite to combat the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
It isn't until after the Roman Empire collapsed, for many reasons, that the world started, their rebellion against it and their practices and whatnot, that that's when Spain became independent. But Spain was under the same issues that we have today, divided into, so that they could not come together and do something about it.
Mhm.
So even if you take the Spanish loving Latinos, why we don't visit the story of what they love so much, which is Spain, and learn from that on how to unite in order to move forward.
But Denise,
What?
we Romans and
I don't that but that you see, that's precisely another point. I don't even know how that we were Romance stuff came about. Like, Radical, can you expand a little bit of like
yeah,
who
okay.
started this
So
whole trend?
yeah. So this started in 4chan. Um, a bunch of Hispano types, right,
Hmm.
got together with a bunch of white supremacists, and they decided to basically start a retelling of history. And because of that retelling of history, they came across some historical inaccuracies and said that the Roman Empire was actually the Spanish Empire.
You
And
gotta be kidding me.
no, I'm
Okay, okay, excuse me. Did I hear you correctly, Radical?
yeah, you did. That the Roman Empire was actually the Spanish Empire, and that that they built up Spain. This is where it gets off course. That the Romans started off in Spain and they built up Spain, and um you know went across Europe, teaching the ways of the Spanish. And that's where the whole "we were Romans" and G comes from.
Oh my
Um,
god.
so well,
You're so dumb.
actually, the the talking point is actually "we were Romans." I'm the one that added "we were Romans," and that's me saying it. But
Um,
that's where the ideology comes from. It started in 4chan with maybe I'm gonna say 9 or 10 little Hispano taps, and I think was it 3 or 4 white supremacists who just came together and used that as their talking points, and made up a whole some history, and then put up a whole ideology around it. Now you have some of these Hispano types
Really?
actually believing it. If you some of Rancho's people believe it, but Rancho himself believes it, to a certain extent. He's not that dumb. Chivo believes it cold heartedly, and so on and so forth. So you have some of these people who really believe in this stuff.
Wow, this is just retarded. The fact that we don't even know that Spaniards were the slave class or the servitude class of Rome.
No, 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 no. So the way they interpret that is that the Spanish weren't Spanish until the Romans left,
What?
and everybody helped each other out. There was no slave class. Um,
What?
yeah,
okay. First, okay, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I gotta say my 2 cents. First of all, I would like to know what type of drugs these people are on. Maybe I should get some for myself.
it's
But
called
the fact of the, but
Hispano.
okay, but the fact of the matter is, okay, I happen to know a little bit about world history.
Yeah,
Okay, after the Spanish Empire fell. Okay. Some people say 476, some people say 1453, whatever. Okay. They were taken over by a group called the Visigoths and the Franks and whatnot. Okay. Now, I mean, and then after, I mean, the term Spain didn't develop until later on. But the fact that the Roman Empire was the Spanish Empire where most of their territory was in Central and South America and a couple of islands in Asia.
But that's the thing that they are,
Um,
look, they are retarded because even the name España, and even our language today, it's just proof enough that we are many, many, many factions of the impact of the Roman Empire. The fact that you have more than 1 billion people that are English, Spanish, or any Latin form of any expression of Latin language being spoken today is proof enough that Rome had its imposition in the world. Like, for example, the name España didn't came about by the Iberian Peninsula. The Iberian Peninsula was just the Iberian Peninsula. It wasn't on the until like 200 before Christ. I think it's 2004, 204, something like that. That uh, Spain became Hispania under Rome,
Hmm.
and they invaded the Iberian Peninsula, and after that name it Hispania, North Hispania, South Hispania. That's where the name España came about, because from Latin, which was the language that was imposed on Hispania, and also the religion Catholicism from Rome,
yeah,
that's where Hispania
you
gets
gotta
its roots.
you gotta remember something, Denise. These are the same people that said the Holocaust never happened.
Oh my God.
Uh,
These are the same people who say that. These are the same people who said that those concentration camps were actually little vacation getaways.
uh, Excuse me, Bro Tap. If you want to join in, by all means do so. The link is there.
Oh yeah, yeah, bro, type join in because we gotta do, you know what I mean. We gotta do something behind the scenes though. Oh, by the way, my first part of open wounds is close to being finished.
Oh, look at
So
Okay.
you.
so um I it's going to be released by the end of this month or the middle of next month.
Hmm.
It's going to be part 1. So just imagine and part 1 is going to take place about the Tainos. Also, Denise, I wanted to tell you I found a great program
Mhm.
to take vocals out of a song.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Yeah,
What do you found?
it's I'm not gonna say that.
Okay,
I'll tell you
backstage.
later. But it uses AI
Hmm.
to remove a vocal from a song. It literally sounds like an artist or whoever is speaking a cappella.
Oh, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to look into that. I have to look into that.
yeah.
Does
Interesting.
it do the same? Does it do the same with instruments though?
Yes, it does. So
Okay.
when it takes the vocals out, it gives you a zip file, and that zip file, you open it up, and it has 4 things. It has snare drums, other, and instrumental, meaning everything together without the vocals.
Okay, so basically it opens all the tracks in the session.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Guys, today I came across an article that was written on January the 14th of last year, which is 4 myths about white supremacy that allow it to continue. Uh,
Mm.
I have a theory.
okay.
I have a theory, and I want you guys to hear it. In my opinion, look, I've heard from a lot of folks today that have the audacity, and it literally stems from American supremacy. I like to call it American supremacy because Americans are the only group of people in the world that thinks that everywhere else, everything in their politics are backwards, and it could never happen to Americans, which is what has us now going from a democracy to an oligarchy, or like Rakim likes to call it a plutocracy. I call it an oligarchy, right? Americans tend to think that uh, all the countries like in the Middle East, like countries in Europe, like countries in Asia, and even North Korea, for example, are run by cults. And that this cults, like for example, religion is what all these countries are based on. Like if you hear Americans talking about Afghanistan, for example, they're like, "Oh, everything over there is based on their religion, and the law is the religion and whatnot." America, it's more into politics. Well, let me tell you something. America was funded based on a cult. America is a cult, and what people don't understand is that this cult used to believe that people that were anything but white were savages and animals that needed to be conquered and brutalized. That's what they told themselves in order to be able to brutalize people that were non-white. That's in the past. That's the old belief of America. Then when America was established, they started shifting away from that old I would say religion. I'm gonna call it religion, even though it's not nothing religious about it. But the old religion, the old cult that is called America, that's what it was based on. So moving forward, America then evolves its cult depending, because obviously these cults are not real. This is just something that people enforce. So when people start demanding change, or things start happening, or the economy will get wonky, they will tweak this cult a little bit in order to adapt it to modern times. That's what any empire does. So basically, um America tweaked it a little bit to let these people exist based on their God given human rights and whatnot, and embrace Christianity completely, and put it even on our currency. Because if you look back into the currency of America, in God we trust was not what was engraved in our money. What was engraved in American money was mind your business. Look it up.
Mhm.
So now that we have evolved into this whole new modern America, you still have the majority of the people, there's evidence of that, have moved into the new cult mindset of America, which is inclusivity, which is that everybody deserves to exist, everybody deserves a voice, everybody deserves a space, blah, 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 whatever America is today. That is the new cult of America. And every law that you look into is based on the Bible. Whether people believe is right or wrong is based on the Bible. Look at every crime in America is based on the moral base of the Bible. So America is based on Christianity. Now, if you look at how any empire has been formed in the past, you still have people that believe in the old philosophy, or where this country was found. And that's where white supremacy resides. White supremacy resides in the people that said, I'm not going to change the original code of America, the original philosophy of the fabric of this nation, for whatever they're replacing it with. And that is the problem that we have today. We have people following the old philosophy of America, while you have the majority of its people now moving away, that have literally separated themselves and disconnected from that ideology for centuries now.
Mhm.
And they are teaching their kids that same ideology that is being passed down. That's how you form white supremacists. You keep teaching the old ideology on and on and on and on. So the reason why Americans are not able to push that out completely is because we fail to understand that every nation needs five components in order to rule. Is one is religious views, or your religion, media, control the mindset, economic impact, or commerce, however you want to call it, military and defense, and on top of that, the compliance of its people, how people enforce the four establishments of that country. When you unite those five things, you have a country. We've seen it with Gaddafi. We saw it with Saddam Hussein. We saw it in the Middle East. We saw it with Rome. We see it with Spain. We're seeing it now with America. The thing is, like, people don't understand how countries are run and what is a country running policies And that's what they fail to understand. It can also happen to America as well.
Excuse me, Denise. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if I have children
Mm-hmm.
and I teach children not to judge people, you know, on the exterior, but on the strength of their character, and and to be accepting of other people. Am I bringing my child to as in a cult-like environment?
It's a cool like environment because look, Jose, we have to one thing that the world has failed to understand is that the diversity of religions always is first before the collapse of any empire. When people start shifting away from religion, look at it even in Russia, look at it in Rome, look at it in Spain, look at it even in America, in the UK. What follows, what precedes a revolution is the change of religion. So as to you, your religion is the right thing. But if you go to the Middle East, you have to them, in their opinion, your religion is a disgrace, a blasphemy. So that doesn't make them right and you're wrong. That makes both of you right because that's what you believe. And you will see this in massive numbers depending on which country you're at. However, in America, we still have people running on the old religion, the old cult. And regardless of if you embrace Christianity and you live by its morality and whatnot, we cannot take away from the fact that it's still a cult like type of religion. It's something that is being passed down by generation and generation. It has practices, and by being called religion is that religiously you have the same practices over and over and over.
Okay. Which is why this, okay. Now, first of all, I look at Christianity. Maybe I'm the only one that look at it in this fashion, but I look at it as a way of life, as a philosophy,
Boo.
as a belief system. Okay.
Yeah, that's the way it was supposed to be because you're supposed to behave the country wants you to behave.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, that, Rakim, that you cannot join us. I hope you're feeling better. Um,
Dude, I feel under the weather. That's why there's no podcast episode this week. I'm literally like ugh. But my wifey, she's making
Put
me
your mask on, radical.
she's
That's what
shut
happens when
up.
you don't
No.
want to wear a
No, that's what
mask.
happens when your wife
yeah, but
gets the flu shot and
yeah,
then
but
she
remember
starts coughing up a storm at night.
yeah, but remember the pandemic is over.
It is over.
Oh,
I don't
stop.
got
He doesn't
COVID.
have COVID.
Okay. Well, you know what? When we have our panel discussion on Thursday, um, I don't look at it as a debate. Why I look at it is this way: you're going to present your point of view. You're going to present it with your facts. I'm going to present my point of view, and I'm going to present it with my facts. There's some truth in what I believe. There's some truth what you believe, and the true extra truth is in the middle. And
Indeed.
now we have Bro Tap.
Bro tap. And that is
What
something
up? What up? What up?
not to
Yo.
good, not to drift away from what we were saying with the whole religious thing, but I'm making a stream based on that theory that I have about why we have Latinos in this the prison of belief.
Yeah,
That's the reason why we can defend
I've
our
heard
people.
I've
You
heard
know, Denise, there's nothing wrong with basing a nation off of Judeo-Christian principles.
No, there's nothing wrong
I
with
rather
that.
like it. I rather
Well,
like it.
I like it to a degree.
I
I
like it
like
too
it.
because it's easy to take to control people.
Yeah, but
Well,
I like it to
there's
a
that
degree.
too.
Look, we do have to understand this. Christianity, as much as I don't practice it, I have to see the positive parts of it.
You're saying you have to or have yet
You
to see?
have to. You have to see the positive parts of it because it makes people aim for high morality. It
Yes.
makes people, more self-aware of where they are wrong, and also it helps people self-correct. So those are the great aspects of religion. When it starts getting wonky is because religion is something that is so subjective to people. It comes down to choice. And when you don't
Yeah.
have a huge conglomerate of people following that same moral code, you're going to unfortunately have a percentage, which is usually the elite part of any empire, following whatever they want to do. And you are going to have the servants in the bottom, the rest of the conglomerate in that empire, following the actual religion and following the morality compass,
Yeah.
using it on
Yeah,
themselves.
I understand that, but
I've noticed that black and Latinos, we're very, very religious people. Like
absolutely.
overly religious to the point where
Mhm.
we we actually we take family members apart if they don't believe the same thing that we like.
Oh my
I've
God.
noticed
Tell
that.
me about it. Tell me about it. I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist and I drift away
Yeah.
from the church at 22. Now ask me how many family members called me even on holidays.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
well,
but guys, you're using extreme examples, though. What about the loving families who are accepting, right? You know, who, if you want to become a Jehovah's Witness, they let that go. If you want to be a Seventh
They
Day
don't exist,
Adventist,
bro.
let
Tab.
that go. Hmm?
I
well,
said they
okay,
don't exist.
well, if
You don't think they
I
exist?
if I can just chime
No,
in for a second, because in my family, I mean, you have people who became Jehovah Witnesses. You
Yeah.
have people became non-denominational Christians and
Hmm.
whatnot.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, I love them all the same. You
Yeah.
know,
No,
just that
same here.
we might have disagreements on on religious principles,
Yeah.
but the fact of the matter is, I am taught, okay, if I'm going to call myself a Christian, I'm going to do my best to follow the examples of the founder,
Yes.
and I'm going to do my best to love everybody the
I
same.
Jose, I got a
Absolutely.
question for you. Jose, do you think Satanists also believe that that sense of notoriety, like respect one another, love one another, and stuff?
I
At
think
this,
they'll claim they do. I knew a couple of Satanists. They'll claim that too, but I don't believe it.
to
But
be,
you see that's you prove my point, bro Tep.
How?
Why we have to associate Satanists with evildoers of that
Uh,
they're
be, be-
lying.
well, because of previous experience, right? All the
okay.
Satanists I
Uh,
knew,
uh,
they were. I'm
if
sorry, go ahead,
if
Jose.
I can just chime in now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I have never met any Satanists in my life, and if I was to encounter a Satanist, well, that's their choice. Now, as
You
far
got to go downtown, bro.
okay, now as far no, okay, now as far as the reason why they're considered bad, is the thing regarding the concept of good and evil, and the fact that we believe that Satan rebelled against God, and that everything God does, Satan tries to do the opposite. Now, this may not be a satisfactory explanation to some people, but it is the reality. Now, I know people have a right to worship as they wish or not worship.
Yeah, but if you think about it, look, this
But
country has freedom of religion and freedom of practice of that religion as long as it is God centric. If you try to practice any other religion that is not God centric, good luck.
Wait, hold on.
well, that's not true,
Is that
Denise.
wait a minute? So
Satanists have rights here.
How does Scientology get away with it then?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
No,
Scientology,
look,
Satanism,
look,
atheists
science.
have a
Look at
very
this.
strong
Look at this.
hold on. Go ahead.
Scientology today. How long Scientology has been? And how many times have they have to change the name of their religion in order to function in America without backlash?
They were
but
here for like
they
eight
still
years. I
function
would
without
say
backlash. They've
eight
only been
years. They
around for
still
about 80 years. I'm
They
eighty.
sorry.
were Dianetics first, and then now they're Scientologists.
All right.
Now,
I mean,
how
Ma-
many documentaries shitting on Scientologists have existed?
a
yes,
lot.
but Denise, most religions go through phases of nomenclature, right?
Hmm.
With Islam, I think it was called Muhammadan faith, and then like now we all know it as Islam. The word Islam was around at the time also, but they went by other names as well.
You know
And
what the real religion is? Radicalology. That's what the real religion is. And come to my church. You know what I'm saying? Every Sunday, there's gonna be some ATMs that don't give out cash. So just come down.
pass that
But
plate around.
Mhm.
but guys, but one
But
thing,
I
guys.
did want to touch base with you on Jose on
Mhm.
Satanism. If you're going to criticize them, at least know what they stand for. What you
Okay.
said they stand for is not what they stand for. Do you want to know their position so that you can properly address their position?
Wait, say
I would appreciate it.
or
Like I said, I'm gonna be the first one to acknowledge. I do
yeah.
not have a lot of knowledge on Satanists.
Oh, it's just,
Right.
I thought
Well,
you meant Scientologists because
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
know
not
nothing about them
Scientologists.
either.
But Satanists, their position is that Satan did all of us a favor. If it weren't for Satan, according to them, this is not according to my dictum, according to them, Satan, when he was a serpent in the Garden of Eden, if he did not do all his little chicanery to get Adam and Eve to do what they did, there would only be Adam and Eve. Most of us who are living, breathing, walking, talking would not exist. That's one thing. The second thing that they believe in is the number six is
Represents
the
women.
yeah, it represents women. And no, you're right. It's a
Yeah, I
joke.
know because it's supposed to like represent the uterus or something like that.
Yeah. See, number six. Listen,
Can we get off the anatomy lesson so Bro Tech can continue with this with while he's
Go ahead, go
sharing?
ahead. All right, go ahead.
yeah, it's rad, yo.
Sorry.
But all right, look.
I mean, guys,
Look, the number six.
you could have people take away my Christian card.
No. Listen.
Jose
The
already put up
the
his
number
picture
six.
instead of his face.
Hold on. The number six, and the reason why the mark of the beast is 666. It's a code for physical existence, as in God rules over the spiritual existence 777, which is perfection, which is God, and the number six, which is when spirituality, when the spirit world is quickened and into a physical state, it becomes solid matter, right? Matter, like the Matrix, the new Matrix movie came out. Matter, Matrix means mother, right? And both of those words have a root word in mother, mater,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so those numbers, they represent if you're going to live here, you don't know if you'll be in a hereafter. You don't know what's going to happen, if you're going to go to heaven or hell, if there even is a heaven or hell. But while you're here, you know that you're here. So you might as well drink like a fish, fuck like rabbits, fight like lions, right? You might as well live this life while you're here. And that's what Satanists believe in. Like that Satan, the one who gave us quote unquote freedom away from God to live our lives here in the physical state, he is their hero, you
Okay.
know? So
And
so so
and
none of them consider it evil. They're not saying, "Oh, go
but the
kill
thing
people."
is that
Mm,
most of what's in the Bible and also most of what Satanism is referring to on their own little Bible, whatever the case is, does come from like the Book of the Dead from Egypt,
mm,
so
yeah.
in reality it's just a bunch of copying of copying of copying of copying,
But
Oh,
isn't
we'll get in
Catholicism
trouble.
the same thing?
You can't say that on
Catholicism,
this channel,
look,
Rad.
Well,
look,
as the only one that's Catholic here.
yeah, but hear me out. Look, I'm not saying Catholicism is good or bad. What I'm saying is when you go back to the Roman Empire, the founders of this religion, you're going to notice that the
They're a bunch
same
of little kid touchers.
Egypt, Egyptian gods are literally, I can go saint by saint.
That's true.
The Egyptian gods are the saints today.
Yeah, that's true.
So it
They're
all stems
connected.
from the
They're
same
connected
great
everywhere.
But wait. Even though, see, God knows what he's doing. There was no way that many of these different lands and these different people would ever accept the word of God if they did not adopt previous traditions. And so God, and his wisdom, allowed the people who are propagating his word to absorb these different aspects
Not
of different
100% true, because if that was
personalities. Wait,
not
hold on,
100% true,
let me
because
finish
if
But
my
that was
weren't
statement.
Egyptians
wait,
oppressors?
Let me finish.
if that was the case, then
Yeah.
every other religion that came before Christianity and the thought of Jesus would have stayed the same,
Mhm.
but they didn't. In the Book of the Dead, we're talking about Ra. Ra is represented like Jesus. Virgin birth, died
Mhm.
33. The person that he was always going up against was Set, which is the
Right.
devil, and all this other stuff. Blah 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 blah. The same thing in India. There's a version of Jesus there too, also virgin birth and all this other stuff. They would have continuously had the same name, not something different, if that was the
No,
real
Not only
case.
that,
no. There's
Egyptians
not only
were
that. You can't route on something
Egyptians,
before it gets addressed. You
but
mean not only that?
Egyptians,
Listen. Hold on. The reason why names, like, there's no reason why those names would stay the same. Let's take a word like Caesar, right? When you go from place to place, it changes anyway and means the same thing. So those names would have changed anyway. You go to Germany, it's Kaiser. You go to Russia, it's Tsar, right? So the names for Jesus, for all these different personalities, they would have changed. They would not have stayed the same from place to place, people to people, time after time. That's not, that's not really how language works.
No,
Language.
but
I
Tsar,
get it,
but this is
but
the
all of the
thing.
religion things comes, all of these religious stories and everything are all astrological. We could
But
literally map
not
it all
only
the way
that,
back.
not
Two
only
things can
that,
be true. It can be
not only
astrological and
that.
still be religiously
This
correct
this
as well.
just proves this just proves exactly what I'm saying. Every empire needs as an essential, needs a religion that people need to honor and get distracted by and act by. That is the set of
And
rules.
that's why every Sunday y'all could come to the Bronx,
Oh
go
my
to
god.
radicalology.
Stop.
You know what I'm
And
saying? There's
and
a
and
church.
going back to what I was saying, when we know that now every empire needs its religion. Now if you go to the SARS, for example, now that you mentioned that, the
Mhm.
SARS were the gods on earth to the old Russia.
Right.
For 300 and some years they were god, and they needed Russians to believe that in order for the czars to make them peasants for life, and then their descendants will inherit peasantry status. They needed that religion in order for people to comply. Egyptians needed the religion to make Egyptians comply and be able to stomach the enslavement of other people. They needed that in order to explain and rationalize the things that were happening and how to explain the disasters of the world through their religion and make them contribute and continue to participate in the structure. The social political structure of Egypt is the same thing we're seeing now in every nation that has a different religion. We see
Well,
it in North Korea today. We saw
yeah,
it with Gaddafi when he created his own religion. Even in his own history, he created.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean religion is wrong. It's just misused by these tyrants that you brought up.
No, religion works for every country, for every mini empire.
Well, that's fine.
If you
Mhm.
follow Christianity to the T, you will be the perfect peasant of America, and you
Well,
will semi
Um,
thrive. You will
okay.
excuse
semi thrive because you'll make a decent living. You won't get in trouble with the law. You won't get in trouble anywhere you go. You will be respected in your community, and you will move a little bit up the ladder. Now, if you abide by Christianity, you will never make a politician. You will never make a millionaire. You will never make it big time. You will never make
But
it in the news.
that's not true.
It is
You have
true. It is
Excuse
plenty,
true,
me,
Protep.
but you have
excuse me,
plenty
can I
of
just chime in as the only Christian on the panel? Um, First of all, and I'm going to say this again, for me, for Jose Negron, not for anybody else, but for Jose Negron, Christianity is not just a religion, it's a way of life. Now, of course, I'm striving to follow the example as best as I can. Now, in fact, we're gonna have a stream next week, and the topic is in defense of Christianity, which is basically why, what's the purpose of Christianity. And when I mean Christianity, I don't mean people who are actually taking certain tenets of Christianity to abuse people, because unfortunately you have people who have
yeah.
taken scripture to justify
Hmm.
evil. I mean, if we take a look
Absolutely.
at slavery in the United, okay, not just in the United States, but in all throughout the Americas, I mean, people took scripture to justify slavery and to justify the mistreatment of people who are different. But Christianity as itself, without it being twisted or whatever, it breaks down to two commandments. Love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. If you do that, you're not going to hurt anybody. You're not going to steal anybody. Now, in my case, I don't aspire to be a politician. I just inspire to be uh, a productive member of society and try to be as faithful as observant to Christianity as I can be.
Yeah, that proves what I'm saying. If you will have to break the moral code of Christianity in order for you to thrive, to
Well, how
move
do you
up
explain
the
Tyler Perry? He's a Christian. How do you explain Tyler
Tyler Perry has had to break rules in order for him to attain that position, because in the Bible, if he follow Christianity, he's not supposed to accumulate wealth.
That's not
You're
true.
not so you're not
Uh,
Yes,
You can
it is
accumulate
true.
wealth.
okay, actually, what it is that wealth should not be your idol.
Yeah, you should not have any permanent attachment to it
And how did he become a billionaire?
by accumulating wealth. But we already said that.
How many people are poor in America? If to make a billionaire, how many people have to become poor?
Well, I don't know.
Neither,
Look, if
neither do
we there's 431 trillion dollars scarce among 7 point something billion people in the world. If the wealth is distributed evenly among every person on earth, every person will get $56,000 on hand today. So for
Right.
Tyler Perry to become a billionaire, 38,000 people have to become poor.
Okay, but
How
here's the
does that translate into Christianity?
okay, but Christianity is not communism, is it? I didn't think it was communism.
No,
no,
it's not. It's
Because
not.
here's
It's
the
not
thing. Okay,
communism.
but look, I'm not a huge proponent of capitalism gone wild, right? But I am a big fan of earning what you have, and those people that you mentioned. Okay,
Look at
if
radical.
you
Oh
redistribute.
my goodness.
Come
Oh
join me,
my
my
goodness.
son. Come join me.
If you have if you, that picture's fucking me up.
Um,
If
let me
you
let me okay
if you
okay. Let me
if
ask the
you have
panel.
hold on, let me finish addressing that though, Jose. If you have everyone getting that share that you talked about, Denise, then what's the impetus? What impetus will you have to create anything? If you know you'll just get a basic 56,000 or whatever.
It's easy. If everybody, that will be the biggest reset we've seen in the world, and it will erase poverty. But poverty is doomed to happen, and I don't. condemn billionaires. If anything, I think they should keep it moving and become a trillionaire. My thing is, because this is life, it's just a set of moves and choices that create you wealth or poverty. It's a choice. However, what I'm stating here is that he had to break Christianity rules in order for him to become a billionaire.
Yeah, but the Christian on the
Forgive
panel
them,
told you that that's
Father,
not the
for
case.
they
You're
do not
allowed
know
to
what they
have you're
say.
allowed to have wealth and accumulate wealth in Christianity. You just can't have a death grip attachment to it.
Yeah,
But you
but this
can
is the thing. The attachment comes because you have to follow and embody, and not embody, but emulate Jesus. Jesus gave from him to the poor. Tyler Perry accumulated the wealth that is believed to be making 38,000 people poor. Where is his uh,
well, you have to have to
emulation of
give.
Jesus?
Okay,
Well,
look,
okay.
God subsidized Jesus, right? So everything Jesus had, he was getting from God. God was funneling all the powers and miracles and wealth through Jesus. Who is subsidizing Tyler Perry?
The
He has
government.
to he
Me,
has to accumulate.
me,
The
He
myself.
has
government.
wait. He has to accumulate all of that. Well, they don't just give him money, Denise. He has
No,
to
they
earn
give
that
him
shit.
the avenues. No, you have to use the avenues, the play by
Right,
play
but
avenues.
look, when it's said and done, the guy makes stuff, we buy it. That's how he makes his money,
No,
right?
that's it. There's
No?
more
How does
no,
he make his money?
there's more intricacies to that, bro. Tab. For you to become a billionaire, you have to be able to do a lot of things. Do we know where? Because literally, you have to invest money to make money. That is the modem of America making money. You have to create different streams of income. Do we know what Tyler Perry invests his money into?
We mostly
Yes, he
see
pays
him do it.
tithing.
Well, no, we mostly see what he's doing. We see all of his plays he has. At no point during the year is there not a Tyler Perry show going on somewhere in Atlanta, in the South somewhere, right? So he has a concurrent play that's always on. That's one thing. He has a ton of movies, including Medea, including all those different dramas, Woman Thou Art Loosed, and all these other sorts of dramas, and he's collecting royalties galore from them, and they're going into syndication. BET is buying them. Essence, the Oprah Channel, they're all buying syndicated shows from him. So we can see where, I'm not saying all of his money's is coming from there, but we can see a massive income stream coming from this. The guy worked hard. He was a homeless person. He had talent, and then now he's not a homeless person, and now he has money commensurate with the amount of effort he put in. The stuff makes sense. The math adds up. He didn't like this. There's nothing magical about it. The math adds up. And so with him, we can see where his income stream is coming from, where he can give to
Yeah,
people.
it comes from
Whether he
BET.
gives,
It
I know,
one
but
of them
hold on.
one of them is BET.
Well, okay, that's fine.
How does
And whether
what is Christian about BET though?
I mean, people do with your content as they will. Just like if you're a Christian and you give $1 to someone on the train, if they go and smoke narcotics with it, it's not on you. You did your part. Tyler Perry gave his content to BET.
No,
with the
he
with
no,
the
he invests. He invests. He has stakes
right,
in
right.
BET.
Well, of course. So
BET is nothing Christian. It just proves my point, bro. Tip. He has had to bend the rule of Christianity in order for him to make money. There's
well,
no
what
way in hell Jose will invest for BET to keep broadcasting women twerking on national TV.
I will.
First of all, what's wrong
If
with twerking? You know what I'm saying?
guys, if I can just chime in for a second, I like to pose this question to the panel. Would you consider me the typical Christian, or you think I'm being delusional, or what have you?
I don't think that you're the typical Christian because
You're the atypical,
I think you're more. I
atypical.
think you're more open minded.
atypical. No, I don't
Okay,
think.
okay.
No,
Let's see what Radical has to say.
you're an updated Christian. Um, I'm gonna say it like that because a typical Christian, anything that a typical Christian doesn't understand is automatically the devil. You
Yeah.
know, and
Okay.
and let me just say, forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they say. But in radicology, none of that none of that matters. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my God.
No, yeah.
No, but truth be told, no, I don't see you as a typical Christian. I see you as a more informed, open-minded Christian.
Yeah.
Um, Even though in the religious aspect I don't agree with, that doesn't mean that we. It seems to a lot of Christians that if you don't believe in my religion, there's nothing for us to talk about, which doesn't really make sense, So when it comes to that aspect, or when it comes to that a type of a talking point or ideology, I don't see you in that same wavelength because you interact with people who don't think like you, and you could have a respectful dialogue. So that's why I don't see you as a typical Christian.
Okay. Daughter,
I
He
think
how?
you're
said, daughter.
atypical. He's my cyber father. Look, you're not the typical Christian. Like I said, if Christians were to live and abide by Christianity 100%, instead of brushing it under the rug or sweeping it under the rug as, oh, I just made this mistake, I'm human, they would not live the same lifestyle that you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I've seen. Like I said, I've come from a very ultra conservative aspect of religion, and I even explored different religions in my youth in order for me to look for answers and find, because my initial goal when I started drifting away from the SDA movement was, or SDA cult as I call it. I studied different religions to find the real one, because every religion tends to tell you we have the truth. And I started realizing that
In my religion, they do.
the religion I was I was brought up in, it was just a cult. And because you had to give so much in order for God to be happy with you. You could not
Mm-hmm.
even visit a theater.
Hmm.
I visited a theater for the first time to watch The Watcher in 2003. I was already almost 14 years old the first time I stepped foot on a
Damn.
theater. That's how, you cannot dye your hair.
Heathen.
You cannot use makeup. You cannot cut your hair a certain length. You cannot use certain clothes. It was more preferable for you to
Listen,
dress a
in
specific
in
way.
in radicalology, listen, God
Radicology.
sacrificed radical Latino in this earth in order for your sins to be availed.
Look,
So and even in my Bible it says thou shalt twerk. So y'all
Thou
y'all
shalt
could do
work.
your thing, you know what I mean? Go to
yeah,
theaters and all
look,
that.
and
Um,
today we're seeing a different shift. America is revolting simply because we're renaming Christianity with something new. Now Christianity is supposed to abide by inclusivity. We saw it in 2012, I believe it was, or 2015. I don't even know the year, when this country decided to make and legalize same-sex marriage. When that happened, churches can no longer say that they will not let same-sex marriages to be performed in churches because it will be illegal. Other issues were Christians were forced to abide by the new faction of Christianity and issue marriage licenses to same-sex people. Now, can I blame Christians for discriminate against the LGBT community? No, they were raised in this religion that is holding the fabric of this country together, and it keeps changing every 100 or so years. So of course you're going to have resistance, and you're going to have resistance also. It goes back to what I'm saying when it regards to race. Through the Spanish Inquisition and the British Empire, we have had this anti-blackness faction of the religion. It was something that was believed America today embraces all races in a different way, but you still have people performing the ultra conservative ways of the old religion that was called Christianity in the past. That's why usually when you see a white supremacist, they tend to be ultra conservative, ultra religious, because the more they're attached to that religion, the more they go back to the old ways. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
So you don't see me as the typical Christian, or do you?
No, you're a modern Christian. You're an ever changing. You're like a river of a Christian. You know, you're never stepping in the same water twice.
Okay.
It's good, but it's not your typical Christian.
Okay, Bro Tep.
I think that you aim to be more Christ-like than a lot of the Christians who profess to be Christians. Christ himself, we have to remember that Christ, he was not afraid to shake things up and abscond with tradition, right? It was a matter of tradition for the Pharisees to, people just expected it. The Pharisees to be, exploiting people at the temples, and he was like, nah, forget these particular traditions, and he flipped the tables over, grab some of them by the collar, right? So I think in the same way, while you're embracing the fundamentals of being Christian, you are actually more fluid, where you go ahead and you entertain different viewpoints than your own, and different aspects of life and stuff like that. And I think that that's how Christ was. He didn't just say, well, I mean, if Christ was adhering to staunch tradition, he would have maintained, eye for an eye. He wouldn't have said, turn the other cheek and be forgiving and stuff like that. So I think that that's a good path you're on, that you're more Christ-like than a lot of these guys who are like, yeah, you're not Christian. I think you're more Christ-like due to the fact that you're willing to have conversations with non-Christians. You're willing to, you were just willing to hear what Satanists were about, even though you have no intention of becoming a Satanist or even having them at your dinner table. But you were willing to at least hear, okay, that's what they're about. Okay. And then you keep it moving. You go back to your fundamentals. I like that. So you're not the typical Christian, no.
Okay. Well, at the risk of sounding going overboard, I see Christ in everybody. So therefore, since I see Christ in everybody, therefore I'm going to treat everybody with the utmost respect, even those who I disagree with, even though the people that are into things that that I cannot accept. I respect the individual choices. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of them will consider me a heretic. Okay, all I got to say is they didn't die on the cross for my sins.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's not so. But what would be interesting?
Yeah.
To have a debate between me and Inquisidor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
no,
I mean,
no. No, Jose, I'm sorry to say, and I'm gonna be very blunt. I don't you got with somebody like that, you got to be on point, and you got to basically call their bullshit out. And I think you're gonna be very polite.
Yeah.
Well,
Also,
I will call them out. It's just that I tend to be like I guess I'm like the Mr. Rogers of YouTube.
okay, look, man, I gotta go. But when you have that, conversation with Inquisidor,
Yeah,
can
me
you
too.
please
I
ask
gotta
him for
go.
me, because I'm still fuzzy on this? Can you
Yeah,
please
count
ask
me
him
out.
for me?
Count me out of that.
Oh, count you out. You're not. You don't want no part of that.
Rotep,
Release?
I'm do I send you
No.
the thing now?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
I'm
you know what?
I'm off right now.
You know what? Let's go to closing remarks. And since Pro Type you have to go,
Yeah.
please share your closing remarks.
Well, I didn't catch a lot of the stream, but I did catch enough of it to have a closing opinion.
Hmm.
As far as the religion thing, in some aspects I do agree with Denise, but as far as like personally, since I'm kind of a go-getter and I'm becoming more of a go-getter as the year progresses, it's a brand new year, new rules, you know what I mean? I can't believe that my adherence to proper Christian morality will keep me from success, right? So I'm still going hard at it, and I'm still gonna try to remain as as moral as possible according to Judeo-Christian conduct, But that's where that's at, right? Number two, the how can we combat systematic white supremacy, right?
Hmm.
I think it's two fronts we have to fight this, or probably even three. The first front is personal, right? When you have personal success, you can actually be on a proper footing in order to affect change, and then you can help change white supremacy. If you can't help yourself, you can't help other people. The second front of that war is your children. I don't mean your biological children per se. Some of you don't have it. I don't have it right now, right? But let's say a nephew or a niece or someone who's close to you, a young cousin, right? At least help them form proper, solid foundations that will help them combat white supremacy in their minds so that they don't develop complexes and all sorts of low self-esteem while living in a system of white supremacy. The third front is obviously the outside war, where you have society telling you that you are less than because you're richly melanated or you're melanated at all. And I think those are the three fronts. And if we can actually, buckle down and center ourselves, we can probably, survive at worst or win at best. That's my closing statement.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Bro Tab. This is your first time on my channel.
Oh,
Please feel free to pop in.
thank you. Thank you. It's been great. Thank you.
So I know you got to go. So I'm going to put you in the background. If you can stay, you can stay. If not, we'll see you whenever you are available.
Yeah, whenever I see you, I'm gonna drop in.
All right. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
thank
So
you.
I'm going to put you in the background. Now we're going to go to radicality. Come in.
Come join.
Come join.
Radicalology. What was it? No, my closing statement is thank you very much, Jose, for coming, for having me on. I thought you were just gonna let number 17 be here by themselves. I didn't know you was gonna have other people. No, let me stop. No. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I think conversations like this definitely should be happening. How to combat white supremacy, just to answer it, is us having a code of conduct, having us being on code, and being on code means not compromising our our greater achievements that the outside dominant society might give us in order to put one of our people under the bus. That's just one part of being on code. But thank you very much, Jose, and I'll catch you later. And catch you later, Denise.
Okay. Well, thank you. Actually,
Bye.
this Thursday, we're going to have a discussion. Is the pandemic over?
Okay,
So,
cool. I'll,
so
I'll see. I'll see if I can join if I'm not
okay.
that busy.
So,
All right.
like I said, it's not going to. Okay. Like I said, you will express your points. I don't see it as the debate. I just look at it this way: you have some truth, I have some truth,
Yeah.
and then in the middle is the actual truth.
Yeah. Okay. No
Okay,
problem. All right.
so I'm gonna
Bye.
put you in the background if you can stay. Okay, now I'm gonna ask for the final words of the one, the only, the future queen of Parkchester, future lover of cold weather and New York and the subway system, Denise Gonzalez.
Well, look, first of all, thank you for letting me on. Um, I know Radical was jealous. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But look, This whole white supremacy, like I mentioned earlier on the stream, it all stems from, the how America's foundation is, you know formatted, like how it was created. Like if you look at the beginning, it correlates, hand in hand with the formation of the belief system of the country. I know that a lot of people hate that I'm bringing religion into this, for obvious reasons. A lot of people, it represents different things to different people. That is why we're going to stay seeing this whole thing happening over and over. Um, and unfortunately, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't think white supremacy, homophobia, anti-blackness, or anything like that, I don't think it will ever stop existing, simply because people are not going to abandon the belief system that this country promised them in the past. When you abide by a country, what basically you're abiding for is the contract that the country serves you. You pay taxes. I'm sorry, you abide by the law of the country, and as an exchange, you get your belief system, you get a set of rules, and you get protection. That's literally what any country will offer you, but you have to abide by it. And like I said, I know a lot of people are going to feel some type of way because of what I'm saying, but it's just the way I see it. It doesn't have to be anyone's way of seeing it. Now, like I said, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It's not going to stop existing. It's going to continue. If anything, I think it will intensify, simply because when you're trying to change people's views for the most part, and you keep doing it time after time after time, and it's happening so fast, like so many people, because of the internet now, want a voice, want a space, want equal rights, wants uh have to have the equal experience. Religion, it's forced to change. So of course a lot of people are not going to feel content with that, and what that's going to create is a polarity war amongst the ultra conservative and the ultra liberal mindset people. And depending on who it wins, which oftentimes in history has been proved that, what follows a period of liberalism is a period of ultra conservatism, and that's what we're going to eventually start seeing over and over. It's not going to stop. It's not going to go anywhere. uh like I said, we saw it with the Roman Empire, we saw it with the Russian Empire, we've seen it with the British Empire, we've seen it with France, we've seen it with the Greeks, we've seen it with the Persians. We've seen it with everybody. So just brace yourselves for whatever may come. It's not going to go anywhere. And just try your best to identify it, though. And one way to identify it, in my opinion, like I said, is by identifying the ultra, no wiggle room Christians out there that don't understand that, we're all human and we're all equal in the eyes of their God. And that's all I got to say. Thank you very much, Jose. I'll be back here Thursday. I got to go, but we'll talk sometime later.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. If you can stay, stay. If not, I understand. So I'm going to put you in the background anyway. Now, these are my final remarks. Racism has been going on for a long time. It's going to continue for a long time. And unfortunately, some people are not going to change. The key is to acknowledge the fact that there is a problem and to take steps that could be done to confront it. I think what we did tonight was an attempt to deal with the issue in an intelligent way. But the bottom line is that people will want to change. And unless that's done, people are going to continue with their racism. I thank everybody who commented on the chat and everyone who appeared on the panel. Now, this Thursday, we're going to do a stream, and the topic will be, is the pandemic over? So we're going to have a discussion. There's going to be some views, which I'm not going to agree with, but it's going to be based on facts, not opinions, not beliefs, but facts. So that being said, um, I'm going to close the same way that I always close. People, please be careful out there. Because the fact of the matter is, despite how some people believe the pandemic is over, it is not over. And we have lost more than 825,000 people due to this health crisis. And we must do everything possible to minimize our contact with the mentally and intellectually challenged. Because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by a worse pandemic, which is massive stupidity and massive insanity. That being said, this has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, and I thank you very much. Have a blessed night and peace.